All right. Well, welcome back to the Get the Picture podcast. We are good to be back. It's actually been a little bit since I've had an interview. So today we are joined with Read Winkelman. He's the vice president of campus ID at Transact and CBORD. He has over 30 years of experience. So it's great to have him on the show. Read, welcome.
Thank you, Luke. It's great to be here. Look forward to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are you calling in from today?
So I live in St. Paul, Minnesota. We like to refer to it as the good twin of the Twin Cities.
Okay.
And it's I've lived here actually since I came out here for college and worked at another college and have lived here the entire time I've worked for CBORD. So, and now
That's awesome.
at CBORD. Yeah.
Basically Southern Canada.
Exactly.
So, Yep. It's funny. My dad, he worked in medical sales for a company called Medtronic.
Sure.
And so he'd have to travel to Minneapolis a lot. And we knew that. And so there was a phrase that developed in our household. We said, "Oh, that's dumb like Minneapolis," because Minneapolis was the city that like pulled dad away on like a business trip. So you're like, that's dumb like Minneapolis. But we won't hold that against you. Awesome. Well, I want to, before we start, I like playing a game just to help people get to know you a little bit. Yep. We call it overrated, underrated. So I'm going to share something and then you just got to tell me, is it overrated or underrated? Okay.
All right.
So here we go. First one, college football.
Maybe overrated. I'm more of a fan of college hockey. So,
okay.
But at the same time, I'd take college football over pro football for sure.
Same.
Yeah.
I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, so I'm a huge Ohio State fan.
Yeah.
Most people hate us, but I'm a big
pro football in Minnesota is nothing to get excited about, right? The Vikings never fail to disappoint. They just always find a way to turn a winning season around and make it a losing season.
There's always so much promise, and then the season gets dashed against the rocks at the end. So
that's right.
Okay, hiking.
Underrated. I'm a big hiker. I like hiking. We spend some time in the Adirondacks every summer, and I've hiked with my kids. I've hiked with other family. More people should do it. It's great.
I'm with you. We hike all the time. We live in Virginia here, and so there's the Blue Ridge Mountains. So we'll go out there and hike, all sorts of different mountains, and great way to get outside and exercise. So
yeah,
cool.
Sure.
All right, fall's coming. Fall's, we're getting there. So pumpkin spice lattes.
Way overrated. I'm like. I like cream in my coffee. I like a little sweetener, but I'm all about cold brew, and I don't need any flavoring, pumpkin, vanilla, hazelnut, none of it. That's just seems.
Now, are you a coffee snob? Like, are you like a pour over guy? Like, you really like quality coffee?
I like quality coffee, but I mean, I'll make cold brew at home, and as long as it's not terrible, like hotel coffee, sometimes it's fine. Yeah, I'm not all about like exactly how you have to make it a whole process to go through. No, you can make it pretty simple. Yeah.
So we have 3 young kids. Our oldest is 4, youngest is 4 months. And we bought this, we're busy. We're a little busy right now. We love it though. And my wife and I, we bought this espresso machine, and we're all excited about it. And, it's where you do you do the espresso shot, and then you foam the milk and like pour the milk over the espresso shot. So it's a latte, you can make lattes and stuff, but there's so much work that goes into making a latte. And so it's like, by the end of it, it's like a 10-15 minute ordeal.
Yep.
And we're like, man, we are not in the life stage to be spending like 10 minutes on a cup of coffee. So it's a treat on like weekends. But yeah, I definitely can appreciate just a nice cup of coffee. So,
for sure. My wife has one of those machines. That's her deal, but I don't need that.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. So this next one, I don't know if you've heard of this guy, but I'm just going to throw it your way. Ben Rector. He's a
You know,
musician.
yeah, not that's not like I don't know.
Ringing any bells?
No,
Yeah, all good.
so,
So
so
it was on my
underrated
mind.
clearly because I don't know.
So underrated, so underrated. We're going to a concert of his tomorrow, so it was just on my mind.
Yeah,
Didn't know if you heard him.
I'll
All
look him
right,
up.
so this one, I think I have an idea of what you're going to answer here. Mobile credentials.
Oh, I think they're way underrated because they're not. There's nowhere near the degree of adoption that we should have by now. We even with 150 campuses using mobile credentials on a, with Transact and CBORD together, that's barely scratching the surface. So
That was a shocker. That was a shocker answer. So we'll get into that a little more
yeah,
as we get into the interview. So
right.
awesome. One of the questions I like to ask people, because obviously, we're professionals working in the higher education campus ID space.
Yep.
But I like to know who the person is, right? Who you are. And so like, what gets you excited? What do you spend your time on outside of work?
Yeah, so you see the hockey jerseys behind me. Believe it or not, I grew up in Virginia as well, in Alexandria, Virginia. But I grew up playing hockey there, and came out to Minnesota for college and continued to play. And then since we lived here, I got into coaching and coaching my kids. And I have three kids as well. My daughter never really played. Both of my sons did, and I coached them, right up until it didn't make sense anymore because they were starting high school or getting into more competitive leagues. And but we built a rink in the backyard. Have done it probably for 14, 15 years, and they get out there and skate, and it's an easy way to keep them off screen. So I love coaching. I love playing hockey. I love getting out and being active. You were talking about Medtronic. I've run the Medtronic Twin Cities Marathon a couple of times.
Okay.
So I've done that. I bike a lot and hike. So yeah, being athletic or being active in various easy sports, not necessarily competitive sports, but then the competition comes out when I'm coaching kids. I haven't done that for a few years, but I enjoyed it a lot. It was good.
Have you always enjoyed being active, or is
Yeah.
that a newer thing, or that's kind of just part of your personality?
Yeah, I always have. Growing up, I played soccer and then played hockey. And then even when I wasn't playing hockey, I was running or biking or doing something. I've done inline skating. Believe it or not, you can do inline skating marathons, right? So I've done a couple of those too. Um, I think it's probably lines up with my personality in business, but having a goal and an objective to train for is something
Yeah.
that really helps keep me motivated and keeps me going, and I enjoy it, right? So training for a marathon or training for a long distance bike race or something like that gives me a reason to, get up, go get that training ride in, feel good about it, having accomplished something. I think that's a lot about the hiking too, right? Getting up to the top of the mountain and getting down safely. That's an accomplishment. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I've always been pretty active.
I'm the same way. I love the accomplishing an objective and a goal in in business or whether it's in athletics. Or one of the things I miss I played basketball in high school and soccer for a little bit, played in college for a year, but I love the team aspect of like, we're a
Yep.
team, we got to figure out how to gel, right? And everybody has their specific role, and together we're going to accomplish whatever goals we've set out for the season, and the highs and the lows of that. So it's provided for me a really good analogy for business, and there's so many lessons I think that we learn through sports and athletics.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I'm always encourage my kids to be involved in whatever they're interested in, but getting involved in sports, doing something fun and enjoying it. I think it's hard, particularly hockey in Minnesota can get pretty crazy pretty quickly, and people lining up their kids thinking they're going to the NHL, and I just want them to have fun, and my objective was always in coaching kids. If those kids grow up and enjoy playing hockey and play in college and play in, adult leagues or whatever, and then they start coaching kids when they're, 30 and 35, that's a win, right? They love it so much that
Mm-hmm.
they want to encourage the next generation. So my middle kid actually did a little bit of coaching this summer for a hockey camp, and that was great. It was good to see him. I think it was a little overwhelming, a lot of kids running around, but it was good for him to do, and I was proud of him for being in a position to go coach.
Yeah, that's amazing. My family, so I married a Canadian. My wife's Canadian. She she grew up in Ontario,
Okay.
Southern Ontario, so right near Niagara. And so I definitely get the hockey craze. That was a whole new world to me,
Yep.
being from Ohio, and hockey's not quite as big there. So great. Well, so shifting gears back to work, I'd love to hear how you got started in the campus ID space.
Sure. Yeah. So I mentioned that I came out to Minnesota for college, and I went to Carleton College, and then when I graduated, I planned to pursue a career in higher ed administration. I'd been an RA as an undergrad, and I got a job at McAllister College here in St. Paul as a hall director. That was supposed to be a 2-year job. I strung it into 3 years, and then really wasn't sure I wanted to stay in higher ed administration, and kind of started looking around to see what else was out there. The office manager in our residential life office at McAllister uh, ran a CBORD system and happened to know that they had just lost their sales rep, and said, "Why don't you interview with this company?" She actually set up a few different things for her. She was great. Her daughters went to Carleton too, so I knew her from before. So I said, "Sure, we'll give it a shot. Try it for a couple of years, see how it goes." A couple of years turned into 30, and I think part of it was the appeal to me was being involved in higher ed administration without actually working for a college, right? Because we're providing solutions that help enable the delivery of services to students. We're working with colleges, we're working with administrators. You're still kind of in higher education, but it was a little different. And I really enjoyed being on different college campuses, meeting with different customers, seeing the solutions in active use, and it just kind of, I don't know, it kind of kept going. I think I may have also mentioned to you in a previous conversation, one of the great things about being here was that when I started, we were privately held by three guys, Bruce, John, and Tim. And over the period of time that I've worked for CBORD, we've gone from being privately held to bringing on private equity and venture capital to acquiring a major competitor to being acquired by a public company, Roper Technologies, to having Roper acquire another major competitor and having the two of us merge, all that in the same seat with the same customer base and the same company. And that's been pretty remarkable and pretty incredible for me to have the opportunity to experience.
Yeah, that brings a very unique perspective. Like, you bring a very unique perspective because of all you've been. I mean, you've been with the company for a long
Yeah.
time. And I'm not calling you old. I'm just,
I am
I'm
old.
saying.
I am old, but I wasn't old enough to rent a car when I started. So I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really cool. You've gotten to see that journey all the way through.
Yeah.
And you started out in an entry level, I'm assuming an entry level sales job.
Yep.
And now you're the vice president of Transact and CBORD. And so I guess I'm curious. I'm really interested to know, like, how'd you navigate that? What has, obviously you've been very successful. What has led to your success? I think a lot of young people want to know, how do I be successful in my job, right? How do I go from an entry level sales position to, maybe I'm a vice president, maybe I'm a chief revenue officer one day.
Right.
What advice would you give to people like that?
Well, I think individually, it's always been I've always been one to ask for an opportunity. I've always been one to take on additional responsibility. If there's something I saw that wasn't getting done, I didn't tend to just complain about it. If I pointed it out, I'd point out at least an idea of a solution, right? So taking that initiative and asking to do more has always served me well. I don't always get it. I don't always have great ideas. I probably have 100 things that I've suggested for, every 2 or 3 that actually happened. But being engaged and being concerned about the business, concerned about customers, being focused on getting results, that's always served me really well. I think, the 3 biggest things that I think about in terms of how we operate, and I didn't wake up 30 years ago thinking about this. It's sort of evolved over time and evolved with some of the colleagues that I've worked with, but really thinking about how you interact with customers, both internal and external, right? So making sure that when you're talking with colleagues, you're not being a jerk, right? You're taking their perspective. You're working through it cooperatively. Same thing with customers, right? Give them a delightful customer experience. That's an important thing. I think your do-say ratio has to be really high, right? Do what you say you're going to do all the time. Don't ever let that fall down. If you happen to make a mistake, then fix it. Fix it. And I think the other thing is in the sales job, I was always looking for what can we do to make sure that we're going to market effectively. What tools do we need? How can we help? How can I help my colleagues? I was never I'm just here on my own on an island and trying to get to my number. Helping my colleagues get to their number was useful too. Because like you said, it's part of a team, right? The whole company has to be successful. So those kinds of things over time have really helped me, I think, to work well with people. And then people identify that, hey, let's get Reed to do this. Maybe it's a good spot for him. So those opportunities open up.
That's great. I love that. So what I'm hearing is taking initiative and I would 100% agree with that. I think when I look at the people on our team, when they can take a problem, identify it, and just start to solve the problem and at least have some ideas about it, it's great. Like I love when our team takes responsibility in that way. So taking initiative, not being a jerk, basically.
Yeah. And I could probably say that more positively than don't be this, but that's it.
I think it starts with like seeking first to understand.
Yeah.
Helps a lot. It's like, all right, maybe we have different perspectives. Help me understand where you're coming from, because obviously, when you're working with a team, they have ideas and they've come to conclusions. And so it's like, okay, help me understand where you're coming from and how you're attacking this problem. And I've always found that serves me really well, seeking first to understand. And then what was there's a second one or the third one was, due to act ratio. Is that
due to say? Yeah. One of my former colleagues was always talking about this do say ratio, but
do say ratio. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Just following through on commitments.
Yep.
Yeah. And then helping other people.
It's hard, but
it is. And then
you can say a lot of things, you can promise a lot of things, but then you got to follow through and you got to get them done. You got to execute. So, yeah.
I actually, so I've, this is kind of a tangent, but we'll go down it for a second. I decided about a year ago, I said, I'm going to post on LinkedIn every week and we'll just see what happens. So kind of goes along with our marketing strategy, but trying to get our name out there and everything. But one of the, I made a post a couple of weeks ago and it occurred to me, I'm like, man, we talk a lot, but like talking is not the same as doing, right? Where it's like, just because we had a conversation about this thing or solving this problem, or even when it comes to personal development, I really want to work out more every week. You have a conversation with a friend about that. That's great. It makes you feel good, but it's not the same as acting on it. It's a lot different. And so I think that's kind of what you're saying with the due to say ratio is like, let's make sure that's high,
Yep.
because it's very important.
Yep.
Cool. No, that's super helpful. And obviously at this point you're in a leadership position. How big is the team that you're leading?
So I have I have 5 direct reports. I moved, so long career in sales, but I moved into a position running the campus ID business line. And so that really encompasses all of our transaction systems, all of our access control systems, including some partner solutions and our own mobile credentials, obviously, and then a bunch of like enabling technology that's kind of around that. And the team that I'm managing is product management, some product marketing, so go to market marketing, a portion of the team that we call our journey team. So as we're moving customers from some of our legacy systems to our new IDX platform, we're helping to map that out for them, understanding where both internally and externally there might be obstacles. And then another part of the team is a transformation office, because as we are bringing our 2 companies together and different departments together, there's a lot of herding cats and managing priorities and making sure that people actually are doing what they say they're going to do when they're making commitments outside of their own area of responsibility or outside of their own department. So that's kind of the whole team. And then there's a couple of my direct reports that have reports as well. So it ends up being like 12 people.
Okay. So you're pretty busy on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And I end up in a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions, but I also, like I said, I love being customer facing. I love being out on site. I was at a customer site earlier this week, and that's an important part of the position as well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think, during COVID, we all went into Zoom world and we're meeting virtually. Obviously we're doing that now. But I've had the chance to do some customer visits the last couple of years, and it always blows my mind how much more understanding you get of the client when you can meet in person. It's just like the walls kind of fall down. Yep. You get to know them as a person. So I'm a huge proponent of those in-person meetings with clients. It's awesome.
I actually found, they're not a surprise, but there have been times over that career where I've been frustrated with our organization or frustrated with a particular thing. And I always found when that happened, if I got out on site and spent some time with 1 or 2 or 3 customers, my whole perspective changed. And I came home energized and excited, and more customer examples to talk to people about, getting a better understanding of how folks are using it. Plus, college campuses are just fun places to be. A lot of young people running around having fun.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. There's a lot of energy.
There's a lot of energy.
It's,
a lot of frisbees.
Electric.
Yeah,
a lot of frisbees.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's great. So you're leading a large team across some different business units. There's been this merger. I just saw that we hit the 1-year anniversary mark.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on in your world. You've seen a lot. What are some of the leadership lessons or principles that have really served you well in your career? What are some of those things that you kind of keep coming back to as a leader?
Yeah, it's a little bit of the same stuff I talked about. I think it's important. Well, a couple of things. I think in a leadership role, what changes is whether you realize it or not, you're being watched, right? And people look at what you do and how you act and how you operate, and they take their cue from that. And so, just talking about do-say ratio, right? If you are consistently talking about things that should be done and not really doing them all, you've set that expectation for your team that it's okay to kind of come in about 60%. If you are consistently following up on everything that you have promised to do, then you've set the bar higher. And I think I tend to lead by example, but also I tend not to try and overprescribe for people. I want them to have the freedom to get to their objectives in the way that makes sense to them. Um, but I also want to make sure that they know that they need to get to those objectives. They need to do what they said that they were going to do, and promise, follow through on the promises that they made. Um, I think the other thing is, not everybody's personalities are going to match, and you may work with people or may supervise people that you wouldn't have chosen or wouldn't hang out with. And I love my team right now, so I'm not talking about anybody there. They're a great group of people, really great. We just had an offsite meeting here in St. Paul, a lot of fun. But that's not always the case. And so again, it comes back to, being inquisitive, not judgmental, figuring out, where somebody's coming from, trying to get inside of their perspective. And I think that goes a long way as a leader or a manager, because then people feel like, they have your respect. And that generally encourages them to, back to following through on commitments. They're like, I feel good. I feel like I'm in a good spot, and I want to be here and I want to get things done because that's what I promised. So it really, it comes down to, set the example, understand that people are people, be genuine, be empathetic, and also set expectations that are reasonable for folks and hold them to them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really good. And I love what you said about not over prescribing, because I think when you give people a clear objective and then allow them to make the decisions necessary to reach that objectives, it actually brings a ton of joy to them. Like making decisions, one, they're probably closer to the problem than you are.
Yep.
So they have more context. Two, making a decision brings value, even if it's the wrong decision, because it's learning, right? It's like, there was, I don't remember who I was talking to, but there was some investment and it didn't go well. And he's like, well, it's a $5,000 education, right? Like you can look at these, you can look at these mistakes as, all right, well, we learned something, even if it wasn't necessarily the right decision. So, I think it's a great way to help your team love to come to work, and enjoy what they're doing and feel empowered and backed by you. So,
yeah, I mean, I think the typical thing when you get somebody on your team that comes to you and says, we have this problem, right? Something's not working, or we're not going to be able to get this installation complete by the time that we promised, or whatever it might be, rather than trying to solve it. I mean, this is like coaching, right? This is like dealing with kids. Rather than trying to solve it for them, you turn around and say, well, what do you think we should do? And if they struggle with that answer, you can give them a little bit of guidance or some idea, or what do you think about this? How would you take this idea and run with it, or get it fully played out? The best part about doing that is the next time they run into a similar problem like that, they may come to you with a solution already figured out, which saves you both time, right? And ultimately, you don't want them having to ask you how to solve problems. You want them to just do it. That's the best way. That's the most efficient way. And you're right. And it makes them feel good, like they have something they can control, and then something they can accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. And ownership too. And I think, that's really good. It's actually a really good reminder for me, because our team, we're a tiny bit smaller than Transact and CBORD. I think we have 14 people now, but it's getting bigger, right? It used to be like only a few of us, and there are more questions and more. The other week I was like, man, I was in meetings all week. How did this happen? Like my whole week was just meetings. And I think that's such a good reminder. Like, I love that question. How would you solve this problem? Like what do you think? What's your idea here? So, yeah, that's awesome. All right, so I want to shift gears a little bit. We talked about overrated, underrated, the mobile credential, and obviously that's a huge offering, huge value that you guys are bringing to the table. Could you tell me about? I guess, I got a lot of questions about mobile credential. Where's adoption at? right? What's that looking like? Are you where we want to be? Do you think it's being adopted at a rate that you're comfortable with? So just talk about adoption. I'd like to know kind of what you're excited about when it comes to mobile credential. Maybe there's things that um, people don't know about the mobile credential that they should. Maybe even what sets you guys apart. Like, is there kind of a difference between mobile credentials? Because I think people kind of have the idea like a mobile credential is a mobile credential. So I'd love to just hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, so first thing on adoption, I would say adoption on the campuses where we've launched is pretty good. There are some campuses that are truly mobile first and mobile only, and you have to apply to get a plastic card. That's their intent. Um, there are other campuses where you have the choice, but even there, 75-80% of students will take a mobile credential. Partly because if they start with plastic, their friend has their credential on their phone, and that's just that prompts them to get it themselves. I have, just because of the age that I am, I have a lot of college friends who have kids who are starting in college, and every time one of them is going to a school that is one of our clients and has mobile, I ask, did they download the credential? And they're like, yeah, they downloaded the credential. They're using it to get in the residence halls, in the dining hall, and everything. I mean, it's easy, So I think adoption on the campuses where we've launched is good. I I think just the amount of technology that needs to be in place to really launch is sometimes difficult for campuses to fund, and that's what's taken a while. But 150 schools, it's pretty good. There's a lot more out there that could be involved, but we're by far and away the largest provider of mobile credentials to the largest number of campuses in North America. And even outside a little bit.
Quick question on that, just as a follow up. I don't want to interrupt, but I'm curious. Are you seeing bigger universities are adopting mobile credential, or is there a fair number of smaller universities? What's the breakdown there?
Both. We've got some. One of my great sites, Swarthmore College, not real big, but they've had mobile and they have really high adoption. And then you get other schools like University of Tennessee, Knoxville, very large, also high adoption. They're one of the campuses that are, you'll have a mobile credential, and only by exception will you have a plastic. So really everything in between. I think it comes down to the experience for students. I mean, you know this. You can upload your photo, right, without having to go into a card office. If you can provision a credential right to your phone without having to go into a card office, it's one less stop that you have to make. I had a colleague I was traveling with earlier this week, and he dropped his kids off at college. They happened to be at school using a mobile credential, and the very first interaction they had with anybody on campus after they got out of the car was somebody saying, have you downloaded your mobile credential into your phone yet? Do that first. Then we'll get your labels for your boxes so we can get them over to your residence hall, get you packed in, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think that's been good. But yeah, it's been big, small, public, private, kind of all over the place.
And what has the impact been on card offices? Because as they're offloading some of those core operations to these remote workflows, right? So like with photo upload, it was big. It was a big splash in 2015. People started making, building their own solutions, and then we came out with our product. And we've seen it now. It's just kind of table stakes. Like it's just you're expected to allow students to submit an ID photo remotely, so they no longer have to come in and get their picture taken in person. Same with the card, right? Now you for some campuses they only have mobile credential, and so there's no need to really come in person to that card office. So as more and more of these operations get offloaded into a remote environment, what is the impact like on a card office?
Yeah, I think yeah, I remember uh, University of Vermont launched right in the middle of COVID, and I remember talking to Mark McKenna and saying,
Oh
looks
yeah.
like a pretty smart decision right now, doesn't it?" And he's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah.
it looks like a great decision." And they had an office that initially had been kind of in a high student traffic area, student center. They were moved, which was fine, and they're like, you have to follow breadcrumbs to find their office now. They're in the basement, kind of back in the corner, and he's told me a few times, like, when the lights come on in the office, he knows somebody's entered because it is so long in between people
That's
coming in
funny.
and out of the office. I think what it does, though, it's a little bit like the way I view AI coming into the market. It it's not that it replaces people's work as much as it replaces the repetitive task
Mm-hmm.
part of their work and allows staff to focus more on the things that human interaction is important for, right? So they can serve students more effectively. They can deal with situations that are, non-standard, where they have to actually take some time and walk somebody through something, or special circumstances for someone, or it's the president's kid is showing up and you want to make sure things are being addressed. I think it gives them more time to look at their operation and figure out exactly what's going on. I mean, I remember, so way back, right? You'd have karting events at the beginning of every school year, and you'd take PCs and cameras and printers and put them on carts and move them all over to a central location for 5 days and take pictures of everyone and print out their cards. That was a huge burden. That's all gone. That's removed when you can have photo upload, mobile credential, all that stuff is distributed. Now you can spend time welcoming students, making sure they're getting checked in, making sure that everyone's on the right meal plan they're supposed to be on, handling the changes and exceptions, all that sort of stuff. I think it puts them back in the customer service business, as opposed to, like kind of manufacturing of plastic cards for a week and a half.
That's exactly right. That's how I see it too. It's like, because we're an AI company. We, our whole workflow is powered by AI, and we like to say it should be rehumanizing, not dehumanizing.
Right.
So who wants to sit in front of a computer screen and, oh yeah, that one's good, that one's bad. Looking at photos, that one's good, that one's bad, that one's good.
Right.
Like that's not really a enjoyable job. And so the way we view it is, hey, we'll let AI handle that for you,
Yep.
and it allows you to do the things that AI can't do, like engage at a human level with these students that are coming in and provide an amazing experience and connect with them. And so I think it's really cool to uh, you know to remove that fear, because I think there's a lot of fear right now with AI taking everybody's jobs. And it's funny because you also see AI hallucinate all the time. And I'm like, that thing's not taking my job. Like, what, there's no way that thing's
Right.
taking my job. But there's a lot of fear out there where people are afraid, what is this going to do to me in my profession? And I think it just shifts the work. It doesn't eliminate the job. It just says, hey, actually, you can focus on more important things. I love what you said about, like, it there's this urgency, I think, in a card office. Like, student comes in, you have to be super reactive to whoever's right in front of you, and so it kind
Right.
of like it slows that down, and allows them to take a step back and get a little more high level and say, okay, what is this overall experience? How should this look for the student? Because every time I talk to a card office director, this is why I love them. They're so obsessed with the student experience. It's
Yep.
like they will do anything to make a student happy. And I think it's really, really cool. It's how we want to treat our customers. So, anyways, it kind of going off on a tangent there, but those are some of the things that my thoughts around AI, and I think we're aligned there.
Yeah. And it is about the student experience. And I think about, like, outside of the, colleges you're there for an education, but it's also, you're there to grow up a little bit, right? Those are some formative years, and it's probably the first time a lot of people are living mostly on their own with a huge safety net, obviously, around them, right? The campus. But that experience is critically important. And the credential, whether it's plastic or mobile, that's kind of your ticket to the experience, right? That's how you get to do everything on campus. That's how you authenticate to eat. That's how you get into your residence hall. That's how you get books at the library, all that sort of stuff. So it's not surprising to me that folks in, ID offices are completely obsessed with that experience, because they're the ones enabling it. They're the ones making it happen. With support, obviously, but it's that entree into the campus life.
Yeah, it's interesting as I just love I love universities. I love card offices. It's where we got our start, and it's interesting to see as we're moving into other markets like healthcare, big enterprises. They approach our solution from the efficiency angle, where it's like, oh, now we don't have to touch ID photos.
Right.
And while the card offices approach it from the student experience angle, they're like, oh, this can enable a better student experience. So it's interesting how those get reprioritized depending on the customer that you're talking to.
Yeah.
But I just think I think we can learn. These card offices in a lot of ways are like small businesses. And it's like, man, I feel like I'm learning so many lessons from them that I can apply right to our business. So I think that's pretty neat. All right. So we talked about mobile. Zooming out 30,000 feet, as you look to the future, what are you most excited about for, when it comes to Transact and CBORD and what you guys want to accomplish together in the future?
I think a couple of things. I think we, as a bigger company, and sometimes people view bigger companies as not necessarily better, but I think we are better having come together. So CBORD brings in food and nutrition software solutions. So nutritional information, food production software. That's an area that Transact never played in. Transact brings a whole payments processing business for the bursar's office for tuition payments and other sorts of types of payments. That's an area that CBORD never played in. We overlap a little bit, maybe not a little bit, a lot in the campus ID world. But we surprisingly have gone after that market and worked with those customers in very similar ways. And so there's some things that we do that we can sort of leverage volume together. And there are some things that we do a little differently that we can be more additive one to another system. And that's a little awkward for me to say. So I'll give you an example. Transact was in a position where they were transitioning most of their first party, their own developed software for access control, to working with partners and bringing partner companies like S2 and Genea into the mix and introducing their solutions to Transact Campus ID customers. Whereas on the CBORD side, we have a access control component that in CS Access that was really built for higher education, that has master key functions and open my door functions and lockdown capabilities that are really specific to the needs of a college campus. And now that's a solution that we can start to look at with some of our Transact Campus ID customers. So where we did overlap, the fact that we had a few slight differences gives us an opportunity to bring a broader solution set. And this is really the answer to your question. What I'm excited about for the future is a broader solution set to all of our customers coming from the same organization that they're used to working with. So rather than having to deal with multiple vendors, there's a lot of talk about, I want to be able to pick any vendor that I want and have it work with my campus ID system. That sounds great, but it's the work with your campus ID system that's the important part. And by providing a broad range of solutions, all from the same company, we can make sure that everything works together and works together seamlessly. And back to that student experience, it's also the customer experience, right? We want to enable our customers to have a solution set in place that is easy to manage, easy to administer. So again, they have more time to spend doing the face-to-face stuff with students that they so enjoy. And that's
Yeah,
hard to do, I think,
absolutely.
when you've got multiple vendors you're working with. So yeah, again, so for the future, just seeing how we leverage that on a broader customer set. We're just really starting to see some of that happen.
That's
Uh,
really cool.
yeah,
Because I want to double click on something that you said, because I think one of the fears or criticisms would be, oh, now it's like this big closed platform,
right.
right? And we don't have choice anymore. And I think what you're saying, and maybe you can add to this or correct me if I'm wrong, is what this allows us to do is we have all these different solutions that can really we can mix and match and bring together this entire solution for you. It's actually going to add more value. Is that about right, or would
Yeah,
you
it
would
is.
you say that a little different?
Yeah, and we work with a ton of partners too. So that's always an option for customers. But we have a broader solution set that is ours. We also have our own point of sale system. We've got a couple of different mobile ordering options. We've got a couple different enabling applications for mobile credentials. We have different flavors of mobile credentials. So there's a lot of different options within the same ecosystem. And I say this to folks when people say, God, people always call us proprietary. I'm like, well, proprietary isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you think about companies that have proprietary solutions, Apple is one of the most proprietary companies in the world, and people love their products because you know what? You plug them in and they just work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we want to be, and I think we're pretty well there at this point. But we want to continue to deliver that sort of solution. And if you want to have something a little different, sure, we've got ways to plug that in too. But now you're managing that vendor relationship. It's a different partner. That's okay. That may work for some campuses, but if you want to just get it all from one place and have it all focused together with lots of options in the mix, we're in a position we can provide that.
Yeah, and I think that makes a ton of sense, and it's a strong argument. It's funny, we have a ongoing debate in the office about what's better, iPhone or Android, Apple or Android. And
Yep.
so like all our developers, they love the Android devices because they can customize them and they
Yeah.
can do all this
Yeah.
stuff. I'm an Apple guy. Like I got my MacBook, I got my iPhone,
Yep.
I got my Apple Watch, I got my AirPod Pros. Like I am so bought into the ecosystem, and I know if I buy this stuff, it's going to work for me every single time.
Yep.
And I like it. That's just how I am. I appreciate it. So I think there's a lot of value there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really where we're after is we want to make it easy. We want to have a good solution set. And sure, we have great partners and we'll continue to expand that partner list and give people options. But we want to be able to provide the core mission critical functionality of an ID system ourselves first, and then give you options for other things if you want.
Yeah. What do you say to the card office who's watching this blockbuster, merger happen, and they're just like, things are going to change. I'm afraid of change. I love my Transact system or my CBORD system. What would you say to that customer?
Yeah, I think we're not trying to force anyone to change. We've published some life cycle management guidance intending to give people long runways. Fortunately, unfortunately, we don't control some things like operating systems and database engine. Like we're not in that market. So there are some technology changes that are pushing us to make some changes with our systems. And I understand customers don't want to change. I mean, look, I'm worked at the same company for 30 years. I clearly don't want to change either. So
You get it.
it is, I totally understand that. But the objective for us in moving forward is we've built a system. We've invested a ton of money in IDX. We've built a system that is designed for multi-tenant cloud operations, designed to be API based, and the idea is we're releasing new features every 2 weeks, right? that's what we can do when we're hosting a solution. You know this.
Yeah.
The idea is we want to be able to get more features, more functions to more customers more quickly going forward. And we can do that as we get people onto a modern technology platform. With the systems that we have, the premise-based system, there's a ton of really powerful functionality built into them. And we're working to get that into IDX as well. So I get it. People love the products that they have, but we want to get them to a platform where we can continue to deliver more features more quickly, like I said. So it's going to be a while before we're ready for everybody to move. But and like I said, to that card office that says I love TSE, I love CS Gold, love any other products. I get it.
I have all these custom reports that I run, and
and we don't want you to cut that off. We don't want you to have to rewrite it. We want to move as fast as we can so that you actually want to move to a new platform. You don't feel like you're forced to move.
Yeah, I love that. I love that approach. And I think the campuses need to think long-term as well, right? It's like, maybe, what does this look like if you guys are delivering features every 2 weeks, and you can do that with a cloud system, and they're immediately there after the deployment. Just the amount of acceleration that you're going to have in IDX is going to be incredible. So it's really, I think it's also just thinking long term. Where do we want to go as a campus? So those are some things to consider.
Yeah, and the next generation of managers of campus ID offices won't have grown up writing SQL statements, and they're expecting the kind of technology and the kind of user interface and user experience that we're building. So that's something for folks to think about too. Like we gotta bring the next generation along, right?
That's exactly right. And what are some trends along those lines? Like, what are some trends that you're seeing in higher education? Anything that you got your mind on? It's like, okay, this is a trend. We're going to try and build to this trend.
Well, AI is a big thing. Although I was at a IT conference a couple of months ago, and there was a session on AI and talking about AI guidelines and principles. And what struck me is a lot of campuses, particularly around AI in the classroom, don't have published guidelines yet. They're trying to figure out where the guardrails are, because they want students to be able to take advantage of the technology, but not to replace their learning. Right? There was I think it was in the New York Times. There was a student at Northeastern that I don't know if it wasn't a lawsuit, but it had some action taken because her professor was using AI around some of the curriculum, and the whole complaint was, I'm paying for this education. I don't want you creating the curriculum with AI. The counter argument that I've heard is, you've got some professors that may be teaching at multiple institutions or have a fairly big course load, and they can use tools like AI to help build the basics of their curriculum. And that gives them more time for things like office hours with students, back to what we were talking about, right? More face-to-face stuff, right? So have AI do the mundane things and do more of the human-facing things that you can. So I think that's kind of an obvious big trend. I think the question is, how are campuses going to be dealing with it? How are they going to use it in the classroom? How are they going to use it to administer student services? Are there things that they could take advantage of to actually improve service, like helping to figure out someone's food choices and having a tool that presents that student with information about where those options are today? What's a good menu? Where should you eat on campus? Because these are things you like to eat, and they're only being served in one dining hall. Those aren't happening yet, but I can see that kind of coming as we bring more and more AI functionality in the world. And we have outside of just image cropping and some of the stuff that you all do, we've got an AI tool in the latest release of one of our campus ID platforms. That's it's really just a natural language query. So when was the last time Luke entered the building? it'll just come back and give you transaction information rather than looking up a report or typing a statement or that sort of thing. So we're just kind of getting started with that, but I think that's going to accelerate very quickly. There's going to be lots of ideas and lots of opportunities.
Yep, I agree. And you're right about the campuses. Like our experience has been they're trying to figure out what are their policies around bringing in vendors, that have AI. Like we were I think it was Clemson a couple of years, maybe it was a year ago. I don't know, a couple of years ago. We were like in this focus group where they basically built had these like people on campus who are like, all right, we're trying to figure out how are we going to approach vendors that have, AI and what's our stance, what's our policy. So it's things are changing fast. We'll see how things play out, but I think AI is going to, I don't think it's going to take our jobs. I think it's going to allow us to do more human work. And I'm excited for that. So that's something I'm looking forward to. All right. I got a few more questions left, Read. I know we're getting close to the end of time here. If you could go back to your college self, your 18-year-old self, and give Read some advice, what would you say?
Wow. This is unrelated to work. The only thing that I think I should have tried to figure out to do was study abroad. I didn't do that because I wanted to be an RA for 2 years, and I was a political science major, where that study abroad fell in. I couldn't make it work, but my daughter spent some time abroad in Cambodia, and really, I think that was a great opportunity. And I was like, "What, Cambodia? Why are you going to Cambodia?" And she's like, "Well, when else am I going to go to Cambodia? I'm 20 years old." And I was like, "Okay, that makes sense." And I've had opportunity to travel a lot for work and everything else, but just that experience when you're at that age and you have kind of nothing, no real responsibilities, I think would have been a great thing. Outside of that, I don't know if there's things I would have done differently. I might have told myself to relax and enjoy the moment a little bit more, and maybe not be so focused on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. That certainly was that was part of my earlier career here at CBORD. Was I was always looking for the next opportunity, and maybe that was good. Maybe that helped me. But I think I could have slowed down and enjoyed the moment a little bit more. And that's advice I'll give to you, because I've got 3 kids too, and I knowing the age of your kids, it's so hard to do that when they're that age, but so important to do it too, right? You blink of an eye and you got kids who are 22, 19, and 16, and and you go, so wow, when did that happen? Yeah,
that is so true. That's an amazing reminder, because it seems like yesterday our 4-year-old was born.
Right.
And it's like these country songs about like, don't blink, these moments are going to pass you by. It's like, I feel like I'm living that right now. And I definitely resonate with that, like go, go, go mentality, accomplish the next thing, do the next thing. And that's a wonderful reminder just to enjoy it, enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride. Cool. Well, okay. Last question. Do you have a book or a movie or a podcast recommendation for people to check out?
I'll give you 2 podcasts. My wife listens to Reveal quite a bit, and they've got some good stories. The one that I actually really enjoyed, and I just binged it on a drive back from Milwaukee because I had 5 hours to kill, was Dolly Parton's America. And it is, okay. It's the podcast is actually from the son of a Vanderbilt University Medical Center, I think that's right, doctor who treated Dolly for something, and they talked and got to be friends because they had some similar backgrounds, and so this guy's son actually did a whole podcast, and some of it is with Dolly and some of it's about Dolly, but I was trapped in the car for 5 hours, but I couldn't stop listening to it. I listened all the way through. So Dolly Parton's America is a good one. And I like her music too. And I like, who doesn't like Dolly? So
Awesome. That's great. Well, Reed, I know you're really busy, and thank you so much for taking the time to join the podcast. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's been a lot of fun talking to you. Thank you.